the virginity. So let's talk about the word, right? Parthenos in Greek. And Parthenos was used in Isaiah, in the Greek Isaiah, to translate chapter 7, verse 14, about a woman bearing a child. Parthenos didn't mean virgin, it meant young woman.
Right. Yeah.
Just like Alma in Hebrew. Well, there's a shift. There's a shift in the word Parthenos. By the time you get to the 1st century AD, it had already started shifting. And we know it had shifted because that word starts to be used to describe men. That's how you know the age had shifted.
Yeah.
To describe a man who had not had sex as a virgin. Even though, so you're not saying a man who hasn't had sex is a young woman. By the time you get to the 3rd and 4th centuries AD and thereafter, Parthenos does not describe someone who hasn't had sex. Parthenos describes a monastic. So it begins to just describe chastity, right? And what all this is about is when we talk about the ever virginity of the Theotokos, we're not primarily talking about her anatomy. It's ever virgin. We're essentially pointing out that she spent her whole life as a nun, if you want to use modern terms. That she lived her whole life dedicated to God from beginning to end, from when she was brought to the temple by her parents and dedicated to God to the day she died. She lived her whole life dedicated to God.
Yeah.
Right. Which runs counter to the common modern evangelical Protestant view. This was not historically the Protestant view, but the modern evangelical Protestant view, which is basically she gives birth to Jesus and then just like goes and becomes a regular woman. And I don't know what they think, housewife.
Yeah, it's not like they read the Bible and found that there.
No,
that's
what
not
you find
there.
in the Bible is that she's there with her son, following him as one of his as the foremost of his female disciples through his whole life, death, resurrection, and then she's a central part leading the women in the early church in the book of Acts. Yeah. That's what you find if you read the Bible.
Yeah. Never says that she has other children. It never says that she's basically, it never says that. It doesn't. So
the passage that talks about Jesus' brothers and sisters, they're like, see, it says he has brothers and sisters. I'm like, yeah, it starts out with, is this not the carpenter's son? Okay.